welcome y'all to Sit Down with Dean. I am Dean, baby. Listen, I have a special guest in the fucking virtual building. None of y'all will ever see his face. Me and Los actually have had the honor of seeing how the man looks, so he is a real human. But he goes by the name online, and he's known by the masses of the IWC internet wrestling community. But I would say more importantly, the Black internet wrestling community, the Spanish internet wrestling community, the minority internet wrestling community, anybody who's got a little bit of that melanin oomph in them. I would say you are represented on this man's page. His mama named him something. His daddy named him something, but there's none of y'all business. Y'all will address him as Burying SMARKS.
Yo, what up, man? What it do, man? Thanks for having me on.
Nah, bro, I love this shit. I appreciate you, man. Salute, because you out here doing God's work. You know that, right?
I don't like to think of it that way, but yeah, I get it.
What I'm saying, God's work is in regards to this wrestling shit, because for too long, it is only like, to be honest with you, I was thinking about this in preparation for your interview, and if you and Heel Turn got together, right, and if y'all decided that y'all were going to do, because I know y'all already had the podcast, but actual video podcast, y'all would be the wrestling version of like the Pat McAfee show. And the reason I say that is because at the Pat McAfee show, one thing that Pat and the boys do is they push against the mainstream narrative in sports. So, i.e., when you look at how they break down contracts, they're like, that's not how you break that down. Or when it came to Aaron Rodgers this whole season, with the whole vaccine, with the whole like him being a teammate going into last year, like they would actually truthfully speak for the player and kind of be like, well, I think this is bullshit, or even like, you know, when they were talking about the MLB bargaining agreements, it wasn't always just about the owners. It was like, well, what about these fucking players? These guys are obviously making billions of dollars, whatever the case may be. I feel as if when I look at both of y'all pages, that's what that's the type of energy I get, and I believe that's why also, like, you know, your humble flex game is amazing. You know that. You'll post some shit, or like you'll say some shit, and I'll just be like, this motherfucker knew exactly what he was doing, exactly what he was saying. Speak to that though, like, because I know people look up up our previous episode. We spoke about this a little bit before, but I kind of want to still rehash it. Like, what was your, like, you know, what makes you stay true to the game? You know what I mean? And just like, and being unbiased, because you will also like shit on WWE product as well. Like, it's not like you're just like fucking fanboy for WWE. You'd be like, nah, they fucked that one up too. It is what it is.
Yeah, nah, man. I feel like there's a lot of misinformation out there, and instead of people trying to like correct, I don't want to say correct because we're all adults, but instead of people like showing you like, yo, that's not how it's done, that's not what was said, that's not what was meant, they just run with that shit, let that shit slide. So then when you do that, it just lets a bunch of other misinformation pile up. And because no one's correcting it, people follow that. You know what I'm saying? Like, they just stay with, all right, so like they'll say somebody's racist because somebody else says it, but no one else corrects that shit. Then everybody just runs, yo, do this racist.
You know that's a fact. That is a fact.
So I don't like that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I don't like that. Like I'm honest. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
We're all honest, and I love honesty, and I don't like people lying to me. I don't like people like delivering misinformation. So I feel like like shit's got to get done, and shit's got to get said, and shit's got to get corrected.
And I think that you're doing a phenomenal job. And the reason I say it is because like you post these things that are pretty interesting. Like it's you. I've seen like, so when a wrestler gets released, the whole internet community loses their fucking mind. Can't believe this human was released. This is bullshit, yada yada yada. But then we see how they're not even when they were used, at times they are used, then no one gives a damn about them. And you'll point that out in a second. And then we see them going over to AEW, and I would say that they're being more misused. And then the people having the same kind of reaction to them now than they had in WWE. Like, look at FTR.
Yeah, they doing the same shit.
if you're FTR, like at this point, like when you really like think about it, like should you have gone to AEW? Should you maybe have stayed in WWE? Maybe you do like the New Japan thing. I don't know, but was it, when you look at it in comparison, you were miserable in both places?
Yeah, I mean, like we all got jobs, man. Like,
yeah,
if I was to get fired tomorrow, I don't expect nobody to say like my manager was misusing me. Like, he gave me an opportunity. I worked. I made some money. They didn't need me no more, so it's time to go somewhere else and make money.
100%. I don't think that's. Go ahead.
Yeah, like it's like I like a lot of fans don't understand. A lot of fans look at, they want to be in the know with shit, but they look at wrestlers from a fan's perspective with like a I know it all mentality.
Bingo.
Like these wrestlers, they want to make money. Like, they're not wrestling for free. They're not wrestling for like random dude in second rows fucking, opinion on the internet. They're wrestling because they're making money. So to them, it's like, yeah, you may be upset somebody got released, but that dude did not get released with $0 in his pocket. You know what I mean?
He made some chicken.
They got the bag. They were smart enough. They saved, and now they good. And with that name and recognition from getting released from WWE, they go anywhere and get work than the guy who's been waiting 3-4 months to get on TV.
I mean, I don't hear no lies, and I believe that we can. I think that we have to even look no further than, so, because you said two things. You said one, like, most wrestling fans, especially adult ones, like to be in the know about everything. I personally don't. I like surprises. Like, so I try to stay away from the dirt sheets too much. So for instance, when I was watching the SummerSlam, when Becky Lynch and Brock Lesnar came out, I had no fucking idea. I was like, oh shit, this is kind of fucking lit. Now, when I look at this Cody Rhodes situation, because it's everywhere, like I can't help but hear that. You start to see how like fans are, as you said, like they're too involved. They're forgetting that this is your entertainment. I think that's something that your page loves to point out, which I think is amazing to people, because they need to remember this is just entertainment. Like, these people, they have families, they have lives. Like you said, they don't give a damn. But then I believe like all the hate mail, I mean, messages now that I guess Cody Rhodes is getting from that clan of individuals when he's, as you just said, just trying to make a dollar. Like, why do they care so much?
Because I feel like,
do they not have nothing else to do?
I feel like these fans, I don't say all fans, because you got some really dope fans out there, but like majority of the fans,
yeah,
they see themselves as a wrestler, and they act on. Man, what the fuck is that? They act on like, what would they do if they were in that situation, and they react off of their own emotions. Like 75-80% of what a fan is thinking, what a wrestler's feeling, is not fucking true. They're not feeling the same you're feeling. Like, you're projecting your emotions and your feelings and shit you'll do onto them and making it seem like that's what they're gonna do, and then half the time that's not. So I think what they pissed off about that is that Cody said all this shit. Yeah, Cody ran his mouth, and he let his ego get the best of him, and now he's back, and I think that's the part they pissed off about. You know what I mean? So we all run our mouths as human beings. Like, I go to work tomorrow, I'm like, I don't want to fucking work here. Man, fuck this place. But I'm back the next fucking day. You know what I mean?
Such is life. Gotta make
That's
that.
life.
You gotta
You
get
know
the
what I'm
bag.
saying? People say shit out of anger, and then depending on the situation, they eat it up or they keep it moving. Cody had no other choice. Cody wasn't going to TNA. He wasn't going to any other spot. So he signed where he knows that he'll make some money and get some exposure, and that's what they mad at.
Real big exposure. And one thing that Cody Rhodes did, I would say, is that Cody Rhodes was, even when he was doing when he was on AEW, because I'm a fan of Two Bears One Cave, Burt Kreischer, and then they have like the Go Big show. I've never watched it, but I would hear Burt and them talking about it on the show, and they would be specifically talking about Cody Rhodes. So you just have to think, that I think, didn't him and Brandy have a reality show together?
Yeah,
I believe as well.
I think it was Rose to the Top or some shit like that.
Bro, you can't tell me that when Cody was negotiating that, and once again, I could be putting, words, or maybe when he was thinking about it, he's like, well, when I'm looking at what WWE does with their superstars, and when I look at what they're doing, like, even with some like their couples and stuff, and like the way that they're able to get the bag. Look at Carmella Carmella as well as Corey Graves right now. The Miz and Maurice have been killing it. The Miz has been killing it outside WWE. like no one's business who is a current like star. So I'm pretty sure that fucking Cody's sitting back and it's like, we could capitalize off of this. You got the whole AEW thing. I was an EVP. Now, like, there's just nothing but money and upside. And then if these people were true wrestling fans, you think they would just be like, or true Cody fans, they would tune over there just to enjoy what he was doing and then go back to whatever the fuck they were doing. But it's just a very, I guess the reason I enjoy your page so much is that it's a bizarre world, man.
It is, man.
Because the amount of like, because then you'll get people under there who just like, completely don't want to fucking, they don't really want to be there. And it's like, well, why? Well, like, what are you talking shit about? Like, what, like, if you, like, I guess, and that highlights what the issue is in wrestling. It's just like, you don't agree with it. Like, and same thing you should do in life, just skip past it. Like, who gives a fuck? These people aren't paying your bills.
Yeah, nah. Ain't nobody pay my bills someday.
But they may not be paying your bills, but they're definitely, you've been in some spots. Can we talk about when they came through the Madison Square Garden? You know what I mean? Like, how was it kicking it back there? When you went, was that Madison Square Garden one that you went to? And you were like backstage?
Yeah, man. I can't say much, but I would say
yeah. I'm not gonna get
I would say it was fucking hectic. Like, like for outsider looking in, like it looks hectic, but to everybody else, that shit looked like it was working for them. Like, there's so much movement happening back there. Like, there's not like I wasn't there that long, but it was like everybody has something to do. You know what I'm saying? You just like, I'm just like, oh shit, like, and I don't want to act all starstruck. You know what I mean? So I'm just like sitting there. I have my little mask on. I'm like, yeah, at least they can't see me. Like, like,
You did not have. Okay, yeah, the regular, yeah. I was about to say you did not walk in there with the Jason.
Nah. I would have got kicked out of there.
Staying true to the gimmick.
Yeah, right. And I don't think nobody knew who I was. They just like, yo, this is random dude here with his kid. So I was just like, all right, I was just there. I was just like, I was starstruck, man. Like, you see these people on TV and you're like, holy shit, like, you know what I'm saying? And it was dope, man.
They just be chill as fuck.
Yeah, everybody's chill, man. Like backstage, everybody's in their element. Like, everybody's themselves. So when you see them, it's just like, it's like a big difference from what you see on TV.
There's
huge difference.
I'm like, Black of the Berry is cool with Odyssey Jones. He went to Los's high school, and I met him through that. Like, this dude, he's funny as shit. But because we follow each other and shit like that, and then when we interact, obviously Odyssey Jones is Odyssey Jones on television. But as Vince McMahon says, the good ones are able to take their mask off, go back and chill. Like, motherfucker be at the crib playing fucking video games and kicking it. You know what I'm saying? Like, every other normal person, when he comes, like, try to decompress. So it just always puts that stuff into perspective. And I think if fans could just realize that these people put their pants on the same way we put our pants on, like, then you start to understand why they're going to move and do certain things. Like, as you said, like, of course, Cody Rhodes was talking shit about WWE. He was the EVP. He's trying to make this bread. And we all know Vinnie Mac don't give a damn. You see what I'm saying? All he cared about is, can we make this paper? That's all right. Green is the only thing that truthfully moves Vinnie Mac. Yeah. But now I do want to talk to you about some of Vinnie Mac's comments from the Pat McAfee show, if you're all right with that.
Yeah.
Bro, so when he said running the business, family or someone else, that could mean so many different things. Like, what, like, I would assume that they would have to look at the Disney model. And I thought that they would, like, he would want to keep it as a Disney model in the family and shit, but I guess maybe not. What are your thoughts on that? And who do you believe would get the business, or the business would be sold to?
Good question. This is my opinion. I feel like none of the kids is asking for the company. So he wants to see who's going to step up, whether it's one of my kids or somebody from the outside to take over. I don't see it staying in the family, only because, like, he mentioned, like, he's old. He's like, he's getting older, and I really don't see them keeping it in the family. I see it getting divvied up and everybody coming off with a lot of money out of it. They might have like some say so here and there, but I don't see the company staying like in the family.
What if Kevin Dunn ends up taking it over?
Nah, he ain't taking that shit over. That dude's ready to retire, man.
How old is Kevin Dunn? He's about as old as Vince, right?
Nah, he's probably like in his 60s, mid 60s.
put in the Dunn fan. I don't know because when he said that, I was like, that's interesting. Like, I don't believe it would be Shad Khan. I really don't. You know what I mean? Nah. Obviously, the way that obviously Triple H is going through whatever Triple H is going through. So, but who knows when he's gonna come back and really get after it. Stephanie's more like the marketing and brand. Like, yeah, it's kind of like who does.
Yeah, and his wife ain't gonna want to take over. She's done.
Nah, she's in politics.
Yeah, she in politics. She did her thing, and that's it.
Yo, this is interesting, man. Like I every now and then I think like, oh, when Vince leaves, am I done with WWE?
I feel like I always say that to myself. Like, yeah, I'm like, once he's out, I'm like, that's it.
I don't see it because I just don't see how anyone else can truthfully move that juggernaut forward. And I don't know who would be the figurehead to do it. Because, like, for instance, we're seeing what happens when you put people who don't know what the fuck they're doing in those positions, i.e. and over there in AEW. Like, to be honest with you, and I think the reason that they got so much flack from myself early on is because you did everything you said you weren't going to do.
Yeah, and they lied.
Completely. Like, I was excited for actual, like, okay, we're gonna have like a little bit of a old school style wrestling show with a new school flair to it. I was expecting, like, so we see matches like Walter versus Ilya Drago, right? You see matches like that. Like, I was expecting to see shit like that in AEW, like good actual wrestling, like bell to bell. The wins and losses truthfully mean something. Like, I was looking forward to seeing how all that played in the parts, and then it really was WWE Lite, like NXT Lite. And I know people are going to say who are listening to this, oh, well, guess what? NXT, lost in the rating war for a long time too, and AEW's on the up and up, yada yada yada. Think about your statement. AEW was barely beating the developmental league. You put them against SmackDown, they would get fucking eaten alive. They would no longer exist.
Yeah.
You put them on Raw, who are they? Like, this is a different, and Tony Khan, and it's showing now. It's like you have Kenny Olivier. Shout out to Jim Cornette. You had Kenny Olivier. We have the Young Bucks, and then you had Cody Rhodes. They were your EVPs. Why? Look at the talent that you're pushing that no one gives a damn about. Like, there's no story. Like, I tried to give them a chance, and they fucked me, and I was not happy.
Yeah, nah, I'm like, yo, I can't be shitting on them and talking all this shit without giving them a chance. And I think I seen like an episode. It wasn't even like a full episode. It was like the episode that online everybody was talking about. Was like, yo, the best episode in the world. I'm like, all right, let me peep it. When I watched it, I was like, nah, man, shit's trash. Like, it was too confusing for me. Like, everything was just all over the place. There was like no structure. Like, I didn't know who was who until like I had to go online and Google it. And I'm like, yo, that's just too much. So somebody watching TV, unless I'm watching a science show, geography show, I shouldn't be having to Google who these people are on my TV. Like, it should always be an explanation. Like, yo, such and such doesn't like such and such, so they're gonna battle it out tonight. Instead, it was just like, yo, throw these two dudes in the ring and then see who wins. I'm like, yo, I can't invest in that.
And then those two dudes can't even really go so much. Like, if people go on Twitter, on the Twitter machine, and you look up AEW botches, it is aggressive, it is egregious, and it should not be. Like, this is it. I'm surprised someone hasn't gotten more seriously hurt. But then, like, the second thing is it also highlights that, okay, all these people get released, and you do nothing with them. They have all this talent side. They do nothing with them. How much money are you losing? You put on that bullshit. Like, listen, I understand that Matt Hardy innovated like the cinematic. Well, actually, no, he did not innovate the cinematic matches. The cinematic matches still started in WWE. With the first one, you would have to state is going to be Goldust going against Roddy Piper for that WrestleMania. That was the first one, right? And then you obviously have like, a lot of the pro, like, whatever the case. But then Matt Hardy kind of brought it back to some relevance. WWE then did it a few times afterwards, right? But there is I don't know how Matt Hardy did it so well with TNA. I also don't know how the Briscoe brothers did it so well either with ROH. The Briscoe brothers had like a one-on-one match, and it was like, they taped it on their farm and shit. That was a good fucking match. You could tell that they didn't stop taping. That was there was no stopping go. There was a continuous, like when it started, they just went through the whole damn thing. AEW fumbled the ball with that shit when they were in the goddamn football, in the football stadium. Yeah. And then you had Matt Hardy getting dunked and coming back up at different people, and then he was fucking like flashing over. It was like, once again, like you beat, like why not establish yourself as who you are versus trying to just be like the fuck boy of WWE. I just have no respect for Tony Khan. Can somebody tell me what creation of Tony Khan's in the wrestling world has gotten over and done well? Excuse me.
Damn, that's a good question. I don't think none. I think a lot of his shit's just been recycled. You know?
It's how do you like, I know people hate Jim Cornette, but you have to say that he was right about AEW. Like, I wonder what would have happened if you had somebody like Jim Cornette as one of like the EVPs or a true consultant on there. How does AEW look today, and what kind of true competition do we get? Because I do believe WWE does need some competition. Don't get me wrong. It's good for everything. It's good for everybody. You know what I mean? But they need true utter competition. Like this AEW shit people say that WWE insults their intelligence, but I think AEW insults it way worse.
Yeah. No, I agree. I feel like WWE is in competition, but they're not in competition with just wrestling. Like, they're in competition with other shit, like other TV shows, other sports, you know, movies that are playing at the same time slot where they have a show. Like, that's their competition. I think they're so far removed from wrestling that they don't even consider wrestling anymore competition. They consider AEW competition, but they're not like their main competitor. Like, their main competitor is other shit on TV, and that's what they stand by. You know what I mean? Like, because for a while, like before AEW came aboard, they didn't have much other wrestling on TV, and they was competing, but competing with television shows, basketball, I mean, just sports in general. And now like AEW is here, and it's like a fake war, man. It's like there's no real war. I think like WWE's been around long enough that anybody who watches wrestling is always going to associate with them. Doesn't matter if it's AEW, no matter if it's Ring of Honor, it's New Japan. Somebody walking down the street who barely watches wrestling, they don't see wrestling on TV. Like, damn, they still got WWF on TV.
That's very true.
So technically, like AEW is in competition with WWE, not the other way around.
I definitely have to agree with that, because I think I remember it was like a few months back. Vince had that earnings call. I think whichever quarter it was. And then he was like, yeah, looks like they've been, signing all of our talent, whatever the case may be. Let's see if we can give them some more. And then they release some more, because that should tell you how much Vince gives a fuck. He's been competing with Monday Night Football for how long?
Yeah.
The guy to NBA Finals, like you said, for how Vince don't give a damn. Vince is like, I gotta fucking beat Monday Night Football. Fuck out of here.
That's what he's more worried about. Like, he's been in that war already with like, was it WCW and other spots, and he I think he's fulfilled his need to win a wrestling war. He's already done so, and I think he's done it with somebody who almost beat him. So I think that was more satisfying for him, as opposed to like they're a $1 billion company now, and now you think like they're afraid of AEW, a startup company with 3 years. Like, nah. And then they're not going for the same fans. Like, I think AEW caters more to like the hardcore fan, like the dude that watches wrestling non-stop, like from morning to night. Whether WWE is looking for like somebody who watches here and there, somebody who is taking care of their nephew or their grandson for the night, and they want to get that person to watch too. They're not thinking about like then we get Robert, who saw Ring of Honor, ECW, WCW. I want him to come back. They're not worried about that, because at the end of the day, a fan like that will always come back. Maybe for one match, for a pay-per-view, for like a 10-minute interview that they might have caught, they'll always come back. But the casuals, those are the ones you need, because they're the ones who are new, and they're the ones that'll stick around.
Yeah, because he's always kind of come back to it. Like, I don't watch every week, every episode, but I kind of, what I do is like I'll keep up on it on like the social media. So you see what they release on the YouTube machine or on their like Instagrams. I'm like, oh, okay, like this is kind of going on, kind of keeps you going. And then like, but usually they will get me for the premium events.
Yeah,
the premium live events. Yeah. I'll be on the Peacock watching it.
Like, I to be honest, I haven't watched like a full episode of any kind of wrestling. Like, I just I go online, I check Instagram, I see some clips. I go on YouTube, I watch some clips. Like, the most I'll do is watch like a pay-per-view or premium live event. So I think the last one I saw was Royal Rumble. which was like January.
Yeah.
I don't even got cable. Like I don't even have cable. Like I stream everything on my TV, so I can't watch Monday Night Raw. I can't watch Dynamite. I don't SmackDown. Nothing. Like I don't even own cable, and I'm not like the only one that doesn't own cable. A lot of people cut cable off and they catch their shit on their phones. They stream their shit, and like no one's really big on that cable shit no more.
Nope. Yeah, I agree with you. Because we got Hulu, I'm able to watch the Raw and the SmackDown the next day and shit. I'm just waiting for them to bring it over to Peacock, cancel that fucking subscription and shit. But it's a this whole thing, it's I guess it's just interesting to me, just how people have gotten so worked up and what they'll allow. Like, Heel Turn posted this and yourself posted this. It was some of Dave Meltzer's comments when he was comparing the word mark to the N-word. And there were so many wrestling fans that were like, yo, that's like, yeah, that's right. What the fuck are we doing? Like, what are we like? So for those of them who like pussy, have you ever had a stitch of pussy? And for those of them who like dick, have you ever had a sniff of dick? Like, either way, there's more to life than this. Like, what are we?
What are we
How
doing?
do you? That you got so offended that somebody called you a mark? You're a wrestling nerd. It is what it is. Who cares?
Who cares?
But then they put the guy Dave Meltzer up on this fucking platter, and he's usually wrong. He's not even. They feed him. It's known that they feed the man false information. Like, if you're going to listen to anybody, you should be like trying to listen and read up Mike Johnson from PW Insider if you're going to be doing anybody. But I guess every time I like go on your post and I just see your page, either A, you're about to make me die, or B, it infuriates me when I just look at some of this shit. I'm like, what the fuck are we doing in life?
Yeah. This shit is all twisted, man. Like I don't get it, man. Like I mean, Dave is wrong, but the only thing I give Dave props for is like he's like a wrestling historian. Like that nigga knows everything. Like he's an encyclopedia. He knows everything. Like any tidbit of like, yo, you wanted to know what the weather was like in 1974 at 8:00 during the second match of the night. Like he would be able to tell you that kind of stuff, and that's dope because no one's really clocking in that kind of information.
Yeah, they're far and few between.
So that's cool, man. But like everything else, he just, I don't know, maybe it's because I read his shit off Twitter, or like he just comes off like a scumbag, you know what I'm saying? Like, and then he argues with like people on Twitter. Like, if you know you're a journalist and your work is respected by all these people that you say you do, then why you spend time arguing with people on the internet? It just makes you seem like lower class. Bruh. Like your work should speak for itself. And I think wrestling fans, and this is true, man. Like I don't really care who I offend, but wrestling in general, especially like pro wrestling, like it's always been looked down upon. Like no one ever took it serious. No one ever really considered it a real sport. It was always like, oh, you watch that fake shit, or you watch soap opera, or you still watch that shit. Yo, you too old to be watching wrestling. And like we all heard it our entire life. Like I'm in my 30s, man, and they be like, yo, where you going? I'm like, yo, I'm going to watch wrestling. Nah, man, you still watch that shit, man. That's just for kids. So I feel like these fans who used to hear this their entire childhood are now rebelling as they get older. And they're doing everything in their power to make pro wrestling seem like legit. Like it can hang with the NBA. It can hang with like the NFL. Because for years, they were getting shit on. So they just using that like to make themselves seem more legit. Like, yo, we could hang out with the NBA fans. Like, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, like, yo, this shit is entertainment. Like, this shit is not real sports. Like, these wins and losses are not real. Like, literally, Tony Khan sitting in the back, writing down a piece of paper, like, yo, this is going to win these matches for 3 years, and this is going to win matches the next 2 months. All this shit is scripted. None of this shit is like out of pocket. Like, everybody got a role, and you follow it. And it's definitely not like the NBA and the NFL and other sports, because all that shit is you actually playing for something. You know what I mean? So I think,
lit. I said, yeah, nah, that shit gets wild out there in them sports. You get fucking shit gets wild.
Yeah, so like, that's how I see it, because there's no way like wrestling fans can take this shit as serious as they do. Like, this shit is not like, it's entertainment, man. It's a television show. Like, Seth Rollins ain't really Seth Rollins. That's not even his real fucking name. You know what I mean? Like,
His name like Kobe Lopez or some shit.
Yeah, Roman Reigns is not really Roman Reigns, you know what I'm saying? But when you look on TV, Tom Brady is Tom Brady. You know what I'm saying? When you look at LeBron James, that's his fucking name. Like LeBron James is not pretending to be a character.
Yeah, no.
So wrestling fans can't tell apart the difference, and they get stuck in that little bubble.
Yeah, it's a it's an interesting it's an interesting thought process when you try to, because I'm a sociologist. So I got my degree in sociology, and I like to use that shit every day of my fucking life. So when you try to look at these when you try to put yourself in their shoes, right? And you try to immerse yourself in their community, because you're trying to understand what is it and why are you like this? It goes directly to what you stated, and they were bullied now, especially, and then the internet emboldens people. The internet will make you feel like you're 10 feet tall and you're the baddest person in the world, but you're not. And if you get in front of most of these people, you wouldn't say half the shit that you're stating. You know what I mean? So it's basically the classic, the kid who gets bullied turns into the bully.
Yeah.
A bully never just starts bullying out of nowhere. They usually got bullies, and now they're trying to just put that on someone else. And that's realistically all they're trying to do. And then you got these two gangs, WWE gang and AEW gang, when it's like, we're fucking grown. Like, it's not even like this is something that kids from the ages of 9 to 15 do, and something you grow out of. Like, these are grown people. Some of them have fucking kids.
Yeah.
And they're out here living and dying by the wrestling sword.
Shit is crazy, man.
You can't do that, people.
It's like that's a nerd mentality. Like, that's a bubble, man. Like, and it's a sad bubble.
There's so much more going on. Like, y'all know that, they're officially feeding our military, some of the trainees. They're feeding them really good food right now. I wonder why.
Right.
They start getting good food for morale reasons. I wonder why.
Yeah.
I'll leave that there, people. So there's a lot more going on in this earth and in this world than for you to be stuck into this goddamn wrestling bubble that you can't get out of, that you're fucking sitting here literally crying and asking people to die because they decided to switch a company for the betterment of their fucking lives, when they were in one company and you allegedly liked them, but you truthfully probably didn't even buy a damn t-shirt at least once.
Nah.
So then how are you even showing WWE that they should want them and need them? Think about this. I want some of the people who are mad that Cesaro decided not to resign because of the way he's being used, yada, yada, yada. How many of you people have that merch?
Yeah, nobody, man. That's what I say. Everybody's talking about, what's his dude, Mustafa Ali and Cesaro, but when they try to give you Ali, and they gave him a stable and they made him seem bigger than what he was, that shat on the whole creative process.
It fucking sucks. Fuck this guy.
I don't know what y'all want, because obviously the dude's a good wrestler, but in wrestling in general, you can't just move forward with just good wrestling. You need a good character, you need a good presentation, you need a good backstory. This is why I always say wrestling is a TV show. When I watch just Full House, in order for me to invest in these characters, oh shit, Danny Tanner, you know what I'm saying? RIP. His wife died and he had to take care of all these kids by himself, and then his boys who were cool with him came and helped him out. There's a backstory. It wasn't just presented to me as here's Danny Tanner with these 3 little girls, and you're like, all right, what we going with this?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, Mustafa Ali is a great wrestler, but you need character, man.
That's
you know what I'm saying?
And that's it. That's a complete fact, because when I'm looking at someone, right? When I'm looking at someone like Austin Theory, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a guy who's gonna be the guy. And the reason he's gonna be the guy is because this is Vince's long-term storyline telling at its finest. He's what Vince likes to do is take everyone on a ride so you can see the growth of a character. And right now we're starting to get that with Austin. At first, they put him out there, and it's okay, he could do some things. He's pretty good. Let's pull him out. We want to change this whole thing. Some down to NXT, he shored some things up. Now he's back up here as Vince McMahon protege in a match going against Pat McAfee, which you know is going to be covered by ESPN. Get his name out there because I guarantee you in about 2 or 3 years, Vince plans to put the strap around Austin Theory, and why the fuck not? And then it's taking us on that ride so that by the time Austin gets there, you got all that in the back of your head. Like when you look at some of the main stuff, and then everyone can't get this treatment though, people. That is something else. You can't, like, everyone is not going to be the next big baddest thing. Like for instance, you look at Dolph Ziggler. We can have the argument that the ball was dropped with Dolph Ziggler at a few different times. We can have that argument. We can. I'm not going to say that we can't. But what I am going to say is that Dolph Ziggler is a strong upper mid-card talent who makes great fucking money, who is having a great fucking career. Was he ever the main marquee? No. Was at times he was a part of that marquee? Absolutely, yes. Can he slide into the marquee right now? Fuck yes. That to me is a great fucking career.
Yeah.
Like that is, and that's just knowing your role. Knowing your role, knowing where you fit in this thing, and knowing how you can make money and move everything better and move everything forward. Like I don't think that most wrestling fans look at it. Like there were certain people that I liked. I'm just like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like I'll say this, it's probably gonna get a little heat. It's what it is. When I looked at Big E's reign versus when I looked at Lashley's reign, I know Big E's was shorter. Shit happened. You had to change it up. It is what it is. He was supposed to keep it, but shit had changed, right? Bobby felt different than E. And I love E. But Bobby felt different. Like I get E is the baby, but Bobby felt like that was a different kind of dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like maybe right now E is not ready to be that guy. I can say Bobby is though. We can say Bobby is. So like it's when you're a fan, you got to be able to just still be real. Like I didn't like Bobby felt different. That nigga Bobby felt different. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's just a different feel. And fans, I see the issues that most people don't. They're not true with that. You know what I mean? Like there's like Kevin Owens is not a guy. Shout out to Kevin, but I don't think he's a guy.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? He can become a guy, but like it's a different feel when certain people get into the ring. Like for instance, you know somebody who's a guy that I don't think most people like. They hate him so much that it's like this tells you why he's the guy. Baron Corbin.
Oh yeah.
People thought that Baron was supposed to be the champion. He's not. He's not. Baron, I could be speaking out of turn, but I think that Baron is set up to be that foil. Either he's obviously the foil to the champion, or he's the step you get to before you get into that picture. Like you're gonna have to tussle with me for a little bit, then you can leave. Like that, like Drew. Drew's gonna go from here to where? Probably Roman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and what it's like, oh, who's he gonna be duking it out with? Baron. Why? Because Baron's a professional no matter what the fuck you look. This motherfucker went from fucking the poor Corbin to happy Corbin. Now he's got Mascot Moss. Like it's a fucking like that storytelling at its finest. And then eventually when Baron goes back to being like when they need a big bad boogeyman in the main picture, Baron becomes the big bad boogeyman. Like that's fucking long-term storytelling that he earned through all of us. That some people they try to do it with, it didn't work. Like it's just understanding like where you fall within that whole thing. I think I could be talking out of my ass, but I think that's at least
that's how I see it.
You know what I'm saying?
Like to go back with somebody like Ziggler, right? Ziggler, somebody like you can put anywhere on the card. You put him in the first match, second match, third match, main event, and either way he's gonna deliver the same way in whichever match you put him in. Like he's that good. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, very professional too. But also, I feel like Lashley had like that fire more than Big E did. Like you gotta want it. You gotta make me believe you want it in order for me to be like, yeah, that's that dude right there.
Mm-hmm.
If me watching at home and I'm watching you and you're not making me believe that you want it more than anybody in this world, then I'm not gonna stand behind you and be like, yo, damn, that dude needs to be the face or he needs to be the champion. Lashley just like he was convincing. Like he convinced me like, yo, this is my spot, this is a spot I need. You know, and I don't want to put too much blame on the talent, but you know, like a lot of talent don't want to be in that main event. You know what I'm saying? Like they content on their spot. So it's not creative. Sometimes it's them. Like I don't like sometimes they just see themselves at a certain level. And that's cool. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of guys out there who were big names and weren't heavyweight champions, and that was their decision.
And they didn't need to be the champ.
Like Roddy Piper, I think that was his decision not to be world champ. Or like Scott Hall, he's always said like, yo, I didn't want the money. I didn't want the belt. Just give me the money that comes with the belt. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of these talent, like, they just want to work, do what they got to do, and go home. Like, they don't like, because you're the face of a company. That's a lot of pressure on you, man. Like, you get a lot of blame on you too. Like, oh, ratings is low. You don't blame nobody but the guy that you put in the main event.
Why aren't you drawing the tickets?
Yeah, if you don't fill up that arena, they're not gonna blame the fan that didn't come in. They're gonna blame you for not bringing that fan in. So sometimes a lot of these wrestlers, they don't want that pressure, man. It's a lot of pressure. So a lot of these dudes are like, all right, like, nah, don't put me in that role. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I'm good.
Some people
I'm
are
making
just
real good money. I'm maxing, like I'm doing well. People fuck with me, so why would I want to fuck with that?
Yeah. Some guys are not born for that role. Like, you know what I'm saying? There's guys who take all this, they want all the smoke, man. They don't give a fuck like what comes with it. And those guys are like a different kind of breed, you know what I mean? I think that's why they got Roman in that level for so long, because that dude don't give a fuck, man. Like, he just wants to go out there and perform, make his money, and go home. Roman. That dude's on a different level. I feel like Seth is on a different level. You know, Seth has been at the top. He's been in the mid card, and he's been at the top. So that's somebody like who like Ziggler, you can depend on. You put him anywhere in the card, and you know he's gonna deliver.
Those Shield motherfuckers are some motherfuckers. Like, so Seth Rollins, like, you know, Seth Rollins is Seth Rollins. You can't state enough about Seth Rollins. He's definitely upped his game. Like, I think Steph always ups his game every year. Like, Steph, you're getting a new iteration. Like, he's giving you something new, something fresh. I always appreciate and love that shit. I love the trajectory of Seth, but this nigga Roman, this nigga different, bro. Son, that shit don't even make any sense. That shit really, bro, that shit don't make no sense. I didn't even know Roman was champion for 2 years. It's like, oh, word, he should be. I'm like, oh, okay. So are you about to Bruno this nigga? Because I'm cool with that too. Like, as of right now, like, look, like, first of all, then on top of that, he has Brock Lesnar on a whole nother level. Like, that cannot also be overstated. Like, yeah, Brock came in willing, like, because he's going to be trying something new. Roman's going to be doing something new, and then he's able to force Brock to go into a whole nother field now. Like, that's top guy shit.
Yeah.
Like, he's elevate. How do you elevate Brock? How is he elevating Brock? Like, think about that for like, Brock is Brock. I'm not just this isn't disrespecting Brock's name, but I mean, elevating him is like, Brock cuts promos. Brock can get frisky with it. He's not just come out here, whatever the case may be. Oh, Brock's got some personality. Oh, okay, I'm fucking with Brock. Like, obviously, Brock could have done all this, if they let him before, but it's because of who he's going against now. It's like, I have to go in this bag. Yeah. Which now the fans are seeing in a different light. Like, Roman elevated Brock. Because Roman's been doing whatever Roman's been. That Roman we see is the Roman. He's been this Roman. He hasn't really changed.
Yeah, and I like how they just recycled it. Like, it's the same feud we've been watching for like the last four years, but now the roles are reversed.
Which makes it completely, it's like, these niggas are crazy.
So it's like a whole new matchup with the same old guys. You just reverse the roles and tweak the characters a bit. So now, like, Roman's the hated guy, but at the same time, you don't want to hate Roman because he's doing so good. Like, nah, man, I can't hate him. Same with Brock. Brock is smiling. He's having a good time. Your man's running around with a cowboy hat. And before, you hated Brock Lesnar. Oh, he's taking too much TV time. He's a part-time champion. He's lazy. And now y'all all loving him. And everything y'all said about him, y'all done forgot.
Son, Brock Lesnar brought back being an ass-kicking babyface.
Yeah.
Like, nigga. When's the last ass-kicking babyface John Cena? Excuse me. I think the edibles are kicking in, my brother. This nigga said, what's the last ass kicking Cena? Fuck am I talking about, nigga? Come on, son, stop it. All right, man. Well, listen, yo, I appreciate your time. Listen here, people. Before we head on out of here, before I give the floor over to Mr. Burying Smarks for his final remarks and words, I want to let y'all know something. There's going to be this fun adventure, this fun wrestling podcast that me and a buddy of mine named Gio are going to be rekindling, because we were doing it before. Everybody who may have already been followers and listeners to the No Sell podcast, we're coming back. You will be able to check us out right now as this episode goes out. The link will be in the description below. Go to the No Sell podcast. We're going to be releasing our first episode after WrestleMania, and then we're going to be getting after it, so much. And then another thing too is that Burying Smarks will also be back, but we also will have Los in the house. This is going to be a Black of the Berry ting. It's not over till it's over, baby. Burying Smarks, you got anything to say, pimp?
Yo, wrestling is not all that serious. Look at me. It's not all that serious. Go outside, read a book that's not wrestling related, make some tea, take a shower with peppermint soap, and enjoy life, y'all. It's just wrestling. It's only a TV show.
Light some candles, listen to some Jill Scott while
there
you
you
do
go.
it.
Light some eucalyptus candles.
Burying Smarks is trying to be out here if I could put y'all on the game. Listen, peace, love, and chicken. Please like, share, and subscribe to this bad boy. Go tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend.
Tell them.
You know what I'm saying? Just out here trying to save the world. Appreciate you, Burying Smarks. Appreciate you, people.
Yes,
we
sir.
are